I've always wanted to be a writer. I just didn't know it was possible. I lived in books and not in school very much, but I really didn't think it was possible to make a living that way. And it was only years of writing short pieces and being a journalist and then being unable to write what I cared about because the magazines and newspapers I had been writing for when the women's movement was getting going and feminism was like an explosion of consciousness everywhere, would say to me, well, we could publish your article saying women are equal, but if we do, we'll have to punish one right next to it saying women are not equal in order to be objective. And if I hadn't already known it, I would have discovered it over again with Ms. Magazine, because Ms. in libraries was often the first target of censors. It was easier to keep someone from writing a check for a magazine subscription and establish the principle of the right to censor that way than it was to pluck existing books off the shelf. So we were often the first stage of the struggle. So, you know, we kind of say to ourselves, what is it most important to do? You know, what should we do? And I think in my experience, it isn't about shoulds. It isn't about what's most important. It's about doing whatever we can. If we actually were allowed in our libraries and our courses on campuses everywhere to begin knowledge when people began, to study humans when humans began, what a concept. Instead of with Columbus, you know, a terrible guy who was an awful navigator who thought he was in India until his dying day, who took Indian women sex slaves for his crew and couldn't understand why they fought back. You know, this is what we learn about him, a benighted man who arrived from Europe at the low point in European history, when even criminality was thought to be inherited, when it had become patriarchal and so racist and so overpopulated because it was patriarchal that it had invented racism in order to invade and take over other people's countries. And we have a history that begins with him. We do our best to democratize the knowledge we have, but we are a very long way from knowing that, say, Cherokee and many of the other languages on this continent, like many of the original languages in other countries, didn't even have gender. They didn't have he and she. They didn't have gendered pronouns. A person was a person. What a concept. There was no word for nature because we didn't conceive of ourselves as separate from nature. We were linked to each other and to nature. We were not ranked. It was not about conquering nature. Imagine how differently we might progress if we had knowledge from the beginning of human history, as opposed to the times when nationalism, patriarchy, racism, monotheism began. So I would like to declare this meeting a post-racist, post-monotheistic, because, you know, if God looks like the ruling class is God. I mean, what can I say? It's politics in the sky, right? Okay. Post-nationalist, all of that stuff, age. And, you know, why not? This is the first day of a new era.